Ready?
Okay, so, and I'm gonna cut this out, but just keep recording, but, did they call you Miss Parker or
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth? So, I'm a friend of Elizabeth's, we're in the same program, and she's recording me. You're not gonna be in the recording, but feel free if your voices are in it, it's fine. But, anyway, she invited me to come in and talk to you today. I am, like I said, I'm in the same program as Elizabeth, and we're both writers. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about tension today and how to create tension in your writing, because that's what you're working on right now, yes? Yes. Okay, so a little bit about me. I do have a website that you can go to if you want to. And it has, just kind of for credibility's sake, it has a listing of all my published work. And most of what I've published so far has been flash and short fiction. So flash fiction by definition is about 1,000 words. And there are all kinds of online literary journals that you can go and find flash fiction and publish flash fiction. But it's a really, really fun form to write in, because it's not like when you have to invest years, months definitely, but maybe years in writing a novel. You can play with form and technique in a shorter little container, so that can be really fun. So I have published quite a bit. I've been teaching, as Shantae can tell you, for 28 years at the high school level, and I already have a master's degree in English Ed, and I came back to do my MFA. And I do have, if you didn't hear Elizabeth say, I do have a book coming out in June of this year, which is called Murmurations, and it's a collection of my short works. And I'm working on a novel right now. So that's a little bit on me. I do have some credibility to talk to you today about writing. So there are two ways to think about tension, and I've got my little graphic here. And I think some of this is going to be review, because you've already talked about chronic and acute tension. So chronic tension is the tension that your main character brings into your story. So for example, it could be childhood trauma. It could be the story begins and they've lost their job previously. Or maybe they're suffering from a medical issue. What are some other examples of chronic tensions that you can lay on your characters?
Somebody that gets anxious really easily.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. What else?
I was gonna go into acute tension.
What else? Maybe they've committed a crime. Maybe they're on the run. Maybe they've had their heart broken. Maybe they're in love. You can throw all kinds of crazy things at a character, but they're going to carry that baggage in to the story the same way that we carry our own baggage, our own emotional baggage from different things that have caused us tension. So somewhere in the story where you begin, they're carrying this stuff, but it's all, the chronic tension is what's off the page. It's what happened before the story begins that makes them lonely or conceited or arrogant or scared or whatever the case may be. So that's the chronic tension. Then what makes the story go is the acute tension. And that's the tension that begins with that inciting incident, the bang that gets the story going. So an example might be, I'm trying to think of some stories that you've read. Romeo and Juliet. What's the bang moment? What causes Romeo tension in Romeo and Juliet?
She's about to get married to some other guy.
Yeah, well, even farther back, Romeo's in love with Rosaline. Say again? Their family. Well, that's the chronic tension. That's the chronic tension. The acute tension is Romeo sees Juliet and goes, oh, she's pretty. I want her. And then he finds out, oh wait, I can't have her because our families are not getting along. But it's seeing her and going, I want that makes the story go bang. To Kill a Mockingbird. What's the chronic tension in the town of Macon? Racism. Alabama. Yeah, racism. What's the chronic tension?
The acute.
I'm sorry, thank you. What's the acute tension? What makes the story go bang? Do you remember? I know it's been a while. That's part of it, but the first thing is when Atticus Finch is asked to defend a black man.
In court.
And then in court, and then his children have to deal with that, right? And that's what makes the story go bang and get it going. So these two tensions butt up against each other. So we've got my main character here getting two bulldozers about to crush this character. the intersection of the chronic tension and the acute tension is what leads to that moment of climax. So your job as writers is to understand what the chronic tension is and then ratchet up the acute tension to get it started, to get that bang moment, and then ratchet it and tighten it, tighten it. Another way to think about it, another graphic, is if you don't like the bulldozers, put your character up a tree and then start throwing rocks at it. Maybe even set the tree on fire, knock the tree over, okay? The tree is the chronic tension. My husband left me and my kids won't call me, I lost my job, whatever they're dealing with. And then the acute tension is, I got a new job, but it's a scam, and now the feds are after me, whatever. But you're gonna have all of this acute tension going on at the same time that this character is up a tree. What do you think happens if you miss one of those elements, if you don't have a chronic tension or you don't have an acute tension?
Makes it boring.
It makes it boring. Nobody's gonna wanna read that story, right? Because you don't have that page turning element to keep you going. All right, questions? Yeah.
Is the goal to knock the character out of the tree?
The
Climax?
That's a great question. So what have you read stories before that end with the character in absolute state of
Yes.
devastation?
Yes.
Yes. But what makes that story redeemable? If you see the character absolutely destroyed by the end, what gives you a sense of, okay, I'm glad I read it. This was really sad, but I'm glad I read it.
The journey.
It's the journey, because what do you assume if that character's lying on the ground with burns and maybe lightning marks on it or whatever? What do you expect that character to do at some point? They get knocked down, but then what happens?
Yeah.
At some point, yeah, it's like, I get knocked down, but I get up again. Yeah. At some point off the page, after the story's over, you know that that journey has taught them something, that at some point, you don't get to see it because the story's over, but they're gonna be able to get up and keep going, and maybe a little bit wiser. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Another way that you can end the story is the character grabs the rock and throws it back, jumps out of the tree and runs away. You know, all metaphorically, of course. But there are different ways to do it. But yeah, you can absolutely wreck the character's life. You could kill the character, right? If that's what your story needs to do. Other questions? Okay, so you read Swim for today, yes? You were supposed to read Swim for today, yes? Okay, so this is a passage from Swim. And our character is known as Simon, but his real name is Suleiman. And we're going to just look at this really quickly. This is a passage I wanted to focus on. The salt in the air seizes my stomach. The ocean rolls in my belly. I keep my eyes down as we trudge through the sand. My heels sink into it. I lift my knees up high and smash my feet down, embracing the tug on my ankles. I imagine each step pulling me deeper and deeper into the sand. Ankles, then knees, then waist, elbows, shoulders, head. They will march on, and by the time they realize I am not with them, I'll be gone. Where's Simon? Where's Simon? I'll hear before the sand fills my ears. All right, so who remembers what's Simon's situation? Who is Simon and what's going on? Yeah.
He's like a foster kid, and he's living with this new family. They're white, and he's from Somalia.
Yes. So what happened to his family? What did we find out happened to his family? What's his chronic tension? Why is he in the foster care system? Do you remember?
Did his parents drown?
His parents drowned. Yeah, and the implication is they drowned on a raft trying to escape from Somalia. So that's the chronic tension. What's the acute tension? What is Simon facing now? Yeah.
Well, his family, his foster family, they're like racist towards him.
Yeah, and it's not an overt racism that you can put they're not calling him names, they're not mocking him, but it's a very passive, kind of low-key racism that kind of simmers under the surface. Yeah. Okay, so here's what I want you to do. If we know what is acute, we know what his chronic tension is, we know what his acute tension is. Get with a partner, I'm gonna give you about 30 seconds, and I want you to explain to each other how you see the...
Wow.
I want you to explain to each other how you see the tension being established, being tightened, how's the fire getting stoked? All right, so get with a partner. I'm gonna say 30 seconds. You're gonna need to get up and move. Thank you. You're gonna need to get up and move. I'll edit it. Yeah, 20 more seconds. Alright, are y'all ready? You ready? Yeah, are you ready to come back together? You guys ready? You be ready in 5 seconds? Alright, I like that. Alright, are y'all ready back there?
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, so what do you see? Let's start up here. What do you see?
So to build on the tension, things like very, I guess, negative or like very charged verbs, like seeds in my stomach, rolls in my belly, be trudged in sand, stuff like that.
Yeah, so we see diction choices that show the tension, and I really love the specificity that you say verbs. Seasons, rolls, trudge, sink, smash. Yeah, so there's some really good diction choices that emphasize that negativity. Simon is not having a good day. This is not a good experience. What else do you see?
I was trying to remember the word, but it was like this thing, like it's like when it involves the body in the imagery, and like there's a lot of that because like there's like in the stomach and the belly, when it rises, you can feel it. Well, you can feel it, you can read it, like from the heels to the knees, to and then through the ankles and all the way to like until he's all covered up.
Yes.
Till his ear. So.
Yes. We have to remember that emotion, like tension, anything related to tension or those negative feelings, they manifest in the body. And a lot of times we use cliches. You know, I have butterflies in my stomach, my throat closed up, things like that. But we don't see cliches here. We see really, really, again, those active verbs showing how this emotion, this negativity manifests in the body. And that's something that really shows that tension. So the salt in the air seizes my stomach. The ocean rolls. Those are not butterflies, it's a force of nature rolling the belly, right? We see the tug on the ankles. Simon feels like he's being pulled deeper and deeper into the sand, and like you said, going down. We watch him envisioning himself going down, being covered by sand until the sand fills his ears. Anything else about the tension? Did y'all come up with something different? No? Okay, that's all right. Okay, so can we see how you can use body imagery and use that to display the tension? Yes? Okay, so I'm going to show you another example. This is something that I wrote, and the context of it is a girl comes home unexpectedly from college and tells her mother that she's been sexually assaulted. So here's the moment after she's told her mother, and it's from the mother's point of view. We sit together while the clock on the wall ticks with a reassuring metronomic rhythm. I match my breaths to it. 1, 2, 3 in, 1, 2, 3 out, until my face is a pool of water without a single ripple to mar its calm, until I can reach across the table and stroke her wrist with my thumb and not grip her to the bone, not try to squeeze out the poison. All right, so do you see the same kind of body imagery going on here? What's something that stands out to you that's a body image that shows the tension?
How descriptive she is about like her hand movement. It's literally just her hand moving, but it's like
Yeah.
very descriptive. It's like across the table.
Yes.
Like this.
Yeah, and also, do you see that there's a contrast between what she's doing physically and what she's thinking? If we move on to the next figure, she's trying so hard to be calm. She's trying to take deep breaths. She's trying to fix her face so that she doesn't look as horrified as she feels. She's trying to stroke her daughter's wrist without like squeezing her. But then what's going on beneath the surface? I am Truman with my finger on the red button. I am Edmond Dantes crushing the lives of my enemies. I am Alex Forrest stroking the silky rabbit fur, and I am Anton Chigurh, and the coin has come up tails. I am Shiva, the destroyer of worlds. So a lot of illusions there that you might not be familiar with, but if you've ever, this one you might be familiar with, that movie where the lady and the man have the affair and she doesn't give up and she winds up killing his daughter's rabbit. You heard that one? What's the name of that one? I can't remember. But anyway, President Truman getting ready to launch the nuclear weapons in World War II. So lots of stuff. But this is what's going on under the surface, and yet she's trying to keep her body calm. So there you see the tension between how she feels and how she's trying to appear. Okay, so these are just some different strategies that you can use to show tension. Are you ready to try it? Yeah, you are. Okay, so here's what I want you to do, and what Elizabeth wants you to do, because it's her assignment. So I want you to use the example from Swim as a model, and I want you to create a moment, just a paragraph or two, where your character is experiencing that tension ratcheting up and getting more and more into that moment of crisis. And you need to squeeze them between the chronic and the acute tension. So the first thing you need to do is figure out what is the chronic tension that they're dealing with. Who is this character? What's their chronic tension? What have they carried into the story with them? And then what's the acute tension that they're dealing with on the page, in the moment, in your story? So what is your character dragging behind him, tension-wise? What's your character facing now? What's the tree they're up on? What's the wolves are coming at them? And then what does it feel like? And how can you show that feeling through descriptive imagery and language, and maybe allusions and other figurative language? And then just write a paragraph or two where you explore that moment of rising tension in your character. You ready? All right, what would you like up on the screen? Would you like the directions or would you like the Swim example? Okay. All right. All right. I'm going to leave you now with Elizabeth because I've got another class to teach. But I hope that this was helpful for you. I hope that just hearing probably the same things that you've heard from Elizabeth, just in a different voice, maybe presented in a different way, helps a little bit. Are there any questions before I go? And you're ready for this. Cool. All right. Would you mind if Elizabeth showed me some of what you write? I would love to see. Cool. Okay. All right. Well, thanks for letting me come and hang out with y'all this morning.